Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the 2021 Great Lakes Regional Championship in beautiful Westchester Township, Ohio at the Voice of America Metro Park. My name is Mary Kimball, I'm USQ's Executive Director, and I have the pleasure of introducing what's going to happen in today's game, and then I will turn it over to our commentators. This is the consolation round robin meant to give the teams who finished last in each of their pools more games and to determine the proper seeding for the 13th, 14th, and 15th place in this tournament. Very important in case a team drops from nationals. Any bids awarded typically start with those teams who competed at the regional that the bid originated from. So to kick off the consolation round robin, we have Dark Snare versus Iowa. Dark Snare is a joint team, an official joint team from RIT Dark Marks and Syracuse Snare, both located in upstate New York, and Iowa is of course from the University of Iowa. And I will turn it off to our commentators for today's game. We have Scott Rain of Chicago United and Matt Dwyer of Ohio Apollos, also the Great Lakes Regional Coordinator for USQ. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Mary. Thanks for having us. I now just made the connection of Dark Snare's combined name. It makes sense.
Well, it's okay. It's still early, Scott. Good morning to you, too. It's a frosty morning here at Voice of America Park, as it was yesterday, although now, because of daylight savings, we're actually starting when it's light outside, so that's a plus. But don't be fooled by the frost on the ground and our breath being seen in the air. The action is definitely heating up here.
That was clever. Well said. It's actually supposed to be a little bit warmer today. We might even get into the low 60s by 3 o'clock.
Ooh.
Balmy.
I'm excited for it. Yeah, balmy. Bring out the shorts and tanks. Our head referee, Jeanette High, getting the team's starting cadences, will be off here in a moment. Dark Snare attacking left to right in the orange, and Iowa right to left in the black.
New brooms up start. Teams have a choice of starting off with bludger control or the quaffle. Dark Snare has elected to start with bludger control, and the Hawkeyes will start with the quaffle, and they are bringing the quaffle up right to left. The quaffle's in the hands of their keeper, number 94, Chris Simensky. Got a deep pass behind hoops. They're getting wrapped up by number 23, Avery Olivar. Attempting to get support from their teammates. Quaffle's in the hands of Dark Snare's keeper, and they will recover. Dark Snare maintains bludger control.
Bit of a slow start here.
Good beat by Dark Snare beater. Number 23, Avery Olivar, dishes it down low to number 77. That's Punit. Ooh, good duck by Punit. Getting wrapped up. Creates some space. Hands it off to number 29, Amanda Polly. Back to Punit. Punit's bringing it back up top towards the midline. Some good defense by the Hawkeyes. Ooh, bobbled pass. Beat by the Hawkeyes. Missed beat by Dark Snare. Another good beat by the Hawkeyes, and they recover.
Good defensive stand there by Iowa. Patient defense. They didn't allow any driving. It wasn't necessarily physical in their stops. It was more of just cutting off any lanes for driving, and Dark Snare did not look very confident in being able to break through defenders.
And in the mix of the chaos, the Hawkeyes are able to get bludger control out of it. Beater pair for the Hawkeyes are number 56, Connor Flynn, and number 13, Bree Benet.
Great interception there. Dark Snare's on a run.
Punit gets wrapped up, is beat. Quaffle's recovered. Ooh, fast break opportunity for the Hawkeyes. What a rip by number 96. Ellie Wicklin for the Hawkeyes, and they are first on the board, 10-0.
Looked to be a bit of a trip on that tackle there, but the head referee was right there, so I guess it looked clean from her perspective. And that was a good defensive stand by Iowa to stop that fast break. Dark Snare kind of getting caught up on where the defender was and just kind of lost their footing and bearing in the process, and Iowa able to capitalize in the other direction.
Dark Snare's keeper will walk it up. Good beat by number 25, Angelina, for Dark Snare. Misbeat by Dark Snare's number 98, Josh Anglum. Did some snitching for the tournament yesterday. Iowa recovers.
Good defensive recovery there. I think Dark Snare is starting to probe that backside of the defense. You saw that inside cut by their chaser. They tried to feed her. Unfortunately, too many defenders in the way. But if they can find that pass and find that chaser directly in front of the hoops, then that's a goal.
Number 16 for Iowa is getting wrapped up. That's Ben Faco. Ellie attempts to pick up the quaffle, gets wrapped up by Praneet of Dark Snare. Scrummage for the quaffle. Some turtling. Good beat by Dark Snare beaters. They get bludger control and they're gonna break up this turtling fiasco real quick.
And you can see the bludgers are quite slick. That frost is melting on the turf here, making the balls pretty wet. So every time they're on the ground, you can see the shine off of them. These beaters are having a little hard time handling them. Dark Snare coming away with bludger control after that whole altercation.
Missed shot by the keeper, number 23, Avery Olivar. Not a bad shot, just a little high over the hoop. Recovered by Iowa's keeper, number 94.
That was a little bit dangerous the way they tried to get that to the keeper. That was almost intercepted.
Dark Snare has bludger control. Iowa walk the quaffle up. No need to rush into bludger control. Some teams will attempt to use their offense as a way to get bludger control before they attempt to score. Let's see how the Hawkeyes want to attack this.
Great goal by number 94.
Yeah, that is Chris, the keeper for the Hawkeyes. They don't get bludger control out of it, but they get the bucket.
Well, and you were saying yesterday, Scott, it seems like a basic point, but it seems like teams have to rely less and less on having bludger control to be able to score.
Yeah, so some teams are noticing what their defense is doing. Not all defenses are ready to give up their bludger control and to not use it. And to hold defenses accountable, we're just going to go score until you use it. Why not take the point? And right now, that's paying off for the Hawkeyes. They're leading 20-0.
Bludger control is only useful if you use it. Reminds me of a very old game a couple years back, Iowa State against Mizzou at regionals, and Mizzou would purposely give Iowa State bludger control because they were so inefficient with it. It was easier for Mizzou to score when Iowa State had both bludgers. It was wild.
Man, I can't say I've ever heard that sentence out loud. It was easier to score.
That's the only time I've ever seen. I was the head referee on the game at the time, and I was in disbelief in what I was seeing.
Man, some great bludger play by Dark Snare.
And they force the out-of-bounds turnover.
Number 1 for Iowa, Grayson Block will recover the lone third bludger. Dark Snare has quaffle and bludger control. Chaser number 66, Cheyenne, cutting towards the hoops. Little give and go to Pani, to Cheyenne. Passes low. Missed opportunity for Dark Snare. The Hawkeyes will recover. But Dark Snare still maintains bludger control.
Very patient movement on both sides on offense. It seems like no team is really moving rashly or trying to hero ball it in any way.
That's good discipline on these teams, trying to set up an offense, move the ball around. Good. Ooh, that looked good over here, but I'm not over there where the refs have better view of the goal.
It was high and wide. I think it bounced off the outside of the upper left side of the hoop.
That attempt was by Iowa's number 16, Ben Falco.
We've got a stoppage here. We'll see what that's about.
Whenever there's a stoppage of play, there's a whistle blown and brooms are down. Lets everyone know we are going to stop moving until we figure out how we want to proceed.
I think that last offense by Iowa there was kind of indicative of their strategy, which is try and find one single open person and just whip it to him and hope that it works. Like the keeper basically skyhooked it to him in the middle of the field. I mean, he was open. That's the thing, is Dark Snare was not marking that chaser directly in front of the hoops in the middle of the key. So, like, he should have been able to score that. It was just a bad shot. But, you know, I guess if that simple of a strategy will work for you because the defense is allowing it, then go for it.
Good drive by Dark Snare's keeper. Good strip by Iowa. That is number 96 with the strip, Ellie Wicklund.
And Dark Snare with bludger control just sitting at the midfield, and now at a misbeat loses bludger control, not even able to help their chasers out in the big pileup. It seems like Dark Snare wants to be very, very conservative with these beaters.
Got a new keeper in for Iowa. That is number 29, Rowan Minders.
And there's that pass. And now they've got a second pass.
Ooh, good scoop. Yeah. Question and beater call, but it was the right call. Great bludger play again by Dark Snare.
That's the benefit of keeping those beaters really conservative. As soon as so that was a great pass down the side for Iowa, but the beater was right there. They got the second pass, beater was right there. They completely shut that play down, and Iowa ended up, missing out on 3 potential scoring opportunities there.
Jacob Lynn subs in at chaser for Dark Snare. Good wrap up. Goal is good for Dark Snare.
That was Jacob Lynn on the score.
Score is now 10-20. The beater pair of William and Amanda are doing really, really well for Dark Snare right now. That is number 8 and number 29 for Dark Snare. Keeping bludger control, giving their offense a chance, and they get the bucket for it. Let's see if they can do it again on defense. They did a hell of a job last time shutting Iowa down.
Beat at the top of the key creates the turnover. Dark Snare slow to recognize, but now on the run for it.
Ooh, picked off.
It's a major scrum. Somehow, Dark Snare able to come out on the other side of that.
That is number 77, Puneet. Been handling a quaffle a lot this morning, number 77, and is rewarded for their efforts in a goal. It is now a tie game between Dark Snare and the Hawkeyes, 20-all.
And Dark Snare correcting an error they had earlier with not letting their beaters come up to help them in the scrum. This scrum was a little more towards the keeper zone line, so those beaters, I think, felt a little more comfortable to come down, able to beat multiple Iowa chasers trying to turtle the ball, and that ball squirted out, and Puneet Shetty able to put it away.
Good wrap by number 5, Jacob Lynn for Dark Snare. Quaffle's out. Recovered by Iowa. Number 96.
Kind of an ill-advised pass there.
Such chaos.
Lynn comes away with it.
Jogging it up. Looks like we're going to get some beater subs. They do not have beater support. Not fazed by it. They get the score anyway. That's from Jacob Lynn, number 5.
And I think this is some sort of a spark that Dark Snare is looking for, because Iowa's not doing a great job at wrapping up all the time. So if Lynn is able to just run around the defenders, if they're not going to wrap him, then he's got the free reign to score.
Iowa will use a timeout. Score is 30-20 in favor of Dark Snare.
So while we have this timeout, let's take a look at how these teams fared yesterday. Unfortunately, because we're in the consolation round, it was a little bit of a rough day for both of them. On the Dark Snare side, they ended up playing Penn State, Blue Jay Quidditch, Michigan State, and Michigan. Scoring a decent number of points, though, keeping a lot of these games relatively close. 125-70 against Penn State, 190-115 against Blue Jay, 145-80 against Michigan State, and 135-80 against Michigan. That last one is the most surprising to me. Michigan looking like a very strong team. They went undefeated yesterday. That score is fairly close. On the other side of the things, Iowa yesterday playing Creighton, Ball State, Illinois, and Bowling Green. That first game, Creighton 210-20. Creighton is, of course, the Midwest Regional Champion, coming over here to the Great Lakes. That was a rough match for them. 150-90 against Ball State, 210-105 against Illinois, and quite a high score. And then finally, versus a very young Bowling Green squad, 165-120. Of course, Iowa losing all of those.
Looking at those scores, though, I'm pretty impressed with Iowa's ability to keep that game close with Ball State. Ball State, one of the more recognized names in the Great Lakes region.
And they're looking good.
And I had a chance to talk to Peyton of Iowa earlier. I know they're hurting for numbers and just injuries. Herself is out due to an ankle injury. So I know that's factoring into how the results panned out, but they're still here playing fairly well against Dark Snare. They're still very much in this game despite the 10-point deficit.
Well, and it's only 13 minutes. This is not necessarily a bad place to be for either team.
Oh, not at all, not at all. This is anyone's game at this point. Score very close at 30-20.
Little give and go by Iowa. Long pass.
Great positioning.
Woo! We're going to have a stoppage of play. There might have been a beat before the goal.
Was that 96 with the assist or 7?
The assist would have came from Iowa's keeper, and the goal, I think, came from number 96, Ellie Wicklund of Iowa.
Yellow card, orange 66, back contact, time is negated by good goal.
All right, so that is a penalty on number 66. That's Cheyenne Monzel. The penalty time negated by the goal. So now that ties it up. 30 all, and Dark Snare will start with the quaffle.
Appreciate Jeanette's high professionalism and energy, letting everyone know what the card's for and what the penalty means. Jeanette's great.
Love Jeanette. Good friend of mine.
Look at 99 taking it up the side, just driving through the entire of Iowa.
That is Jarek.
Pothorsky. I mean, that is the right move right there. We saw it a little bit earlier with Lynn being able to drive in and just dunk. And hey, if Pothorsky can just get through him without getting tackled to the ground, then, you know, why not? If that's going to work, then that's it. That's your offense. That's what works.
It also helps when your Iowa beaters are not actively ready in the play. I saw one of them just getting a loose bludger, and there's no way they were going to get there in time. Dark Snare takes the lead 40-30, and they have bludger control going on defense. Good play by Dark Snare beaters. We're going to get a quick press opportunity. press essentially means that one team doesn't have any bludgers or support, and that is their defense's opportunity to get in their face, press them, make them uncomfortable. Good beat by Iowa beaters. Might get bludger control out of it.
Oh, too low.
Missed shot by Iowa's number 96, Ellie Wicklin.
Smart though, Iowa hadn't used their reset yet, so even though the bludger or the quaffle went over the midfield, they were still able to make another try, hopefully.
We got a possible injury on the far side of the pitch. That looks like number 12, Sammy, for Iowa, slow to get up. And looks like one of Dark Snare beaters also down. Prior to the stoppage of play, a solid effort by Ben Falco of Iowa number 16.
We will be right back, folks, video-wise. We're going to continue with some analysis about this game.
Yeah, so number 16 for Iowa attempted to beat out one of their chasers and then got beat themselves by Dark Snare. They were able to tag up really quickly, come back, reset, and get bludgers on the ground and get bludger control for Iowa.
Got some excitement in the game going on behind us. Looks to be...
That is Miami, Ohio versus the Illini Ridgebacks.
We'll see what happens over there as we
Can we get a
continue
trainer
over
next to,
here.
Please?
Something I noticed on that last play. So as you were calling for Dark Snare to press, I'm not sure they heard you from here in the booth, but it's interesting because they beat Iowa's beaters, had the third bludger on the ground. Iowa's second beater didn't call for immunity and got beat themselves. And then Dark Snare didn't press with their bludgers. They just held firm. And Iowa's still able to pass around the outside, get a second pass off to Wickland on near the small hoop, and Wickland shot while low. Like, if you've got two bludgers on defense, they're bludgerless, you need to press. That second pass should never happen. That ball should have been on the ground around midfield.
I couldn't agree more. Maybe it's a strategy thing. Maybe that was intentional. Maybe it was a lack of awareness, not recognizing that Iowa had no bludger support, and that could be a communication thing. I know sometimes when I'm playing chaser, I'm not always aware of bludger play, but you kind of need to be. The two positions need to be able to work together. You need to see everything that's going on the pitch.
I think it's indicative of Dark Snare's system. We've seen it all game. They've been really conservative with their beaters. That's a foul on Tantalo for Dark Snare.
Number 99, Jarek, will recover the quaffle for Dark Snare.
Iowa unable to capitalize on the power play against only one beater. They should have brought both bludgers forward. The other third bludger was on the ground in midfield.
Dark Snare has one bludger but one beater. Let's see how Iowa can take advantage of Dark Snare's one player down. That's the advantage to take. Take out their one beater.
Oh, too low. I think that tackle might have affected the aim a little bit.
Lynn gets popped at the field as Iowa streaks down. It's Minders.
Got pushed a little out of bounds by number 99. Not quite out of bounds, but to the edge.
Iowa chasers and keeper had the right idea. I just don't think everyone was on the same page. Dark Snare's bludger was on the far side of the pitch. They all kind of needed to go together in that moment. Instead, only a couple folks were there. Ooh, possible close kick call there.
I would have called that.
Dark Snare's beater's back in. That's number 2, Catherine. Jarek's driving. Shot attempt blocked by keeper. Recovered.
Whoa.
Goal is good. That is Jacob Lynn.
That's unfortunate on Iowa's part. That was a great upfront block by Minders, and then whomever got the other end of that blocked it back into the lane of Jacob Lynn, who was able to put it through, although I believe there was technically a goaltend on Iowa's part. That was Emily Lancaster on the other end of that, unfortunately. So the goal would have been good either way, but you never want to see a goaltend.
So some fantastic beater play as well. I don't know if you all caught that on the stream, but Bludger's just going back and forth with each team trying to prevent the other one from getting the third one.
Darkstairs number 22, Kaylin Pricker, did a pretty good job being the one beater out there for a minute. Didn't allow Iowa to score.
Iowa just kind of whipping that quaffle around. Yeah, that was a behind-the-back tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Great form tackle if you were in football, but nope. Unfortunately, Petharski did not have the angle. Petharski, excuse me.
We have Jeanette High coming to clarify the call for us.
Yellow card, back contact, number 99.
Two-arm tackling is, of course, a welcomed new addition to the USQ rule set, but you cannot initiate contact from behind the back. If you start from the front and the player swivels and you don't re-engage and you find yourself on the back, if I recall correctly, that is not a yellow card, though. But if you start from the back, it's a card.
Not sure what Iowa can do here. Both beaters out of the play. Snare with bludger control.
Ooh!
And it's a run. It's one defender to beat. Now two. Lynn dogging it a little bit. Not that he needed to put in any more effort. Iowa just didn't even want to put a hand on him.
Well, that was interesting. It was a fast break, but Lynn wisely didn't sprint across the field. He didn't really need to.
That was the slowest fast break I've ever seen. It was like a light jog break.
Well, I mean, remember, Iowa has low numbers. They know they can be strategic and pass smart and make those goals. So if you can't go after the fast break, it might make sense to conserve your energy and wait to the next press. But we'll see what they do now with 94.
I want to recognize number 98 of Darkstare, Josh Anglam, subbing in at beater.
Making that drive around the side. Are
beats
they going to get it in? There's that Iowa smartness that we saw earlier.
Good open pass to the far side.
I think that was 56 with the goal on
That was
Iowa.
Connor Flynn with the goal.
Yeah.
Besides that score from Iowa, Darksnare's Josh Anglam, number 98, was doing a great job keeping bludger control, putting Iowa in uncomfortable positions, catching the bludger if it was thrown at them. They got bludger control now. Score is 60-40. Darksnare's up by 2 scores.
Oh, a fumbled pass over to number 29 on Snare, giving Iowa an opportunity for a fast break of their own, but they are getting wrapped, a one-arm into a two-arm wrap.
I think that's number 1. Grayson Block is down for Iowa.
Looks like they were perhaps hit in the face. On the other side of the field, Iowa's keeper trying to streak it down the sideline, but it was, again, fast break without the fast break. The entire team didn't go, so he only had one receiver in the middle of the field, and that receiver was covered.
Maybe that's something that we can get a little bit more into with the fast breaks. Iowa's fast breaks are one person running really, really fast with no intention of stopping or slowing down, and unfortunately they're getting wrapped up by Dark Snare. Dark Snare's fast breaks, they're pushing the pace. They're definitely not like walking it up, but they're kind of waiting for play to develop to see what angles, what cuts can they make, and then they go and take their shot. It also doesn't hurt when you're maintaining bludger control.
I think that's really indicative of what we've seen all game. Dark Snare, much more methodical, more physical, more calculated, and Iowa a little more impulsive, a little quicker, but kind of looking for more of the bang-bang play.
Love your word choices.
Thank you. I watch a little too much football sometimes.
Football is happening today. However, very happy that we get to watch some Quidditch today.
If you want to improve your commentary game and develop synonyms like Dwyer is dropping, wait, we have some more information from Jeanette High. So we do have new face beat rules now. and that one did violate it.
So as we were saying the praises of Anglem earlier, it looks like they've ended themselves up in the box for an illegal headbeat. And now that pretty much dead play by Iowa ends up with the Iowa chaser having the ball in front of the hoop, surrounded by 2 defenders, but, you know, an arm's length apart, so she's got some ability here. It is Lancaster.
She's ready.
So many choices in what you could do. You could just run forward, see if you can draw back contact. You can do a spin move on 22.
Look at this tableau that we're looking at.
Oh, and blocked at the point.
That's a good block by Caitlin, number 22 of Dark Snare, and her keeper, number 23, Avery Olivar, recovers it.
Good effort by Lancaster. I think next time, tuck that one and try and spin away from the defender.
I misspoke. That was 32 with the good block, Kirsten Edwards of Dark Snare.
The number 23 carrying around the right side for the team, passes it to the back, but there is a beater ready, passes it off to 32.
So that was number 77, Puneet with the quaffle. Got off broom, attempted to pass it after being off broom, and refs clearly saw the Hawkeye ball.
It happens to the best of us. Everyone should work on their squats.
Number 94.
Jinx.
Great tackle by Puneet Shetty.
That looked like back contact to me. Oh, but we have a potential stoppage for injury, or a stoppage for a potential injury.
It looks like injury and a foul. That was if I saw correctly, a behind-the-back tackle by Dark Snare. Wicklund was spinning around like a fiend and unable to find the hoops, but play was stopped as they lost the ball.
That was a solid attempt by Iowa's quaffle line of number 96, Ellie, 94, Chris, their keeper, and number 56, Connor Flynn, doing their best when they're getting wrapped up with not much bludgeon support and just trying to keep the ball alive. Dark Snare being disciplined, wrapping up, and not letting them get as close to the hoops as possible.
It looks like the keeper, Szymanski, had a bit of a tunnel vision there. The Dark Snare keeper was directly in front of the hoop. I believe that was Kirsten Edwards, just right in front of that small hoop, and Szymanski still shot on it anyways, and the shot got blocked. Meanwhile, the middle hoop and the fall hoop was open. And it looks like that was a yellow card indeed, as we predicted, behind the back contact. So Dark Snare racking up those cards a little bit.
That's going to be on their keeper, Avery Olivar, number 23 of Dark Snare.
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, I said Edwards earlier. That was Olivar on the block.
Number 32, Kirsten Edwards, is able to walk off of their own accord.
And so we will rejoin here as the teams get back to their brooms. Our score, 60-40, Dark Snare in the lead.
Looks like the Hawkeyes have bludgeon control at the moment, and they have the quaffle.
Yeah, that's good luck for Eli Wicklund in the back there because they lost the handle right as the foul was called, but they were the fouled players, so see if they can get the score here. And it looks like they pick the small hoop, and it's good.
What a rip by number 96, Ellie Wicklund. Score is now 60-50. Dark Snare is only up by 10. Dark Snare's bench giving him the okay to go.
Iowa's not letting him, though.
Puneet breaking tackles, busting loose. Connor able to shut Puneet down. Quaffle's up, keeper has it, and play will be stopped.
And that is a 20-minute stoppage there after the turnover with Iowa in possession. I'm a Browns fan in football, so I'm very good at counting missed tackles because we have a lot of them. And if I was counting correctly there, Puneet Shetty just broke 4 tackles before finally being taken down. And luckily Iowa was able to recover, but he was just getting through him like butter.
At the 20-minute mark, let's kind of talk about what can we expect. For those watching at home, either you're new or old at Quidditch, we got some new rule sets coming into the play now. 20 minutes means we get about a minute or two to just stop, and we're going to get into our set score way to end the game. Essentially, set score says we are going to add 70 points to the top score. Right now, that is Dark Snare with 60. And Dwyer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 70 plus 60 is 130.
I think it's been a couple years since I've taken a math class, but I think your math is sound.
Sweet. So basically, we are playing first to 130. We can do that a couple different ways. You can still get points by scoring with the Quaffle. And the Snitch is going to be out. Snitch comes out immediately. Seekers will be released shortly after that. The Snitch is worth 35 points now. The 35 points lets everyone know someone's going to win this game. There isn't going to be a tiebreaker. There isn't going to be overtime. I'm interested to see how these teams are going to play this. Some teams have elected to just focus solely on snitch play. What I mean by that is they'll put their bludgers and their beaters on each other's seekers, and the chasers kind of left to fend for themselves with no bludger support, which leads to a lot of transitions, fast breaks, and more or less sloppy play without a setup offense. That could also just be in response to it's a new rule set. We haven't quite figured out the best way to handle without bludgers and just Quaffle play alone. Some teams might just focus on the Quaffle play and just let Seekers kind of figure it out for themselves. Who knows?
So if I'm Dark Snare in this scenario, I'm going to trust my chasers to make good physical stops on defense. I'm fine with putting my bludgers on the snitch, making sure that they can secure that catch. If I'm Iowa, I've got to be a little more careful with my beaters. If they're on offense, yeah, fine. If Dark Snare is able to, if Dark Snare, isn't being too aggressive with their beaters, I'm cool with putting my bludger on the snitch, giving my seeker a chance. But if I'm on defense of Iowa, with the way that their tackling has been going, they have to have that beater back in order to stop that Quaffle, because if Dark Snare figures out that they can just keep on running through with Jacob Lynn and Jarek Pothorsky, then we're going to see that score rack up on the Dark Snare side really quick. So Iowa will start with the Quaffle in their own keeper zone after the turnover right before the stoppage.
We just resumed play where everyone was left at the 20-minute mark.
Snitches from Bowling Green. Number 11. Let's see who this is.
That's beaten. Dark Snare not paying attention and losing bludger. You start with bludger control at the seeker floor and you lose bludger control before the seekers come out. That is,
oof.
That is rough,
just
buddy.
Poor, yeah, that is poor paying attention.
Rough luck.
But Iowa just lost it. Seekers are out. Snitches released.
We nearly had a grab for number 16, just a little bit too high.
Snitches down. Whistles blown. I'll admit I was paying attention to snitch play.
There was a tackle at the boundary by Puneet Shetty, the keeper, and it looks like the player had stepped out of bounds, and it'll be Dark Snare ball. We'll see what the call is here from Jeanette High. And really, Iowa should be looking to drive that in. So yeah, Shetty will have the ball now in his own keeper zone, and Dark Snare comes away with it. It looks like Wickland had stepped out of bounds.
Nice spin move by number 16 of Iowa. Still got some time with the snitch. Dark Snare Seeker's coming in. Gets beat again. That's number 2, Catherine.
And that was an incredible stop physically on the other side of the field. Connor Flynn just put a good hit on Amanda Paul from Dark Snare. Looks like she's a little slow to get up. Good physical stop.
Still no change in score. It's still 60-50 Dark Snare.
Looks like in the Seeker game, though, it's a lot of Iowa getting some opportunity, which is good for them. Iowa has maintained bludger control, so they're able to split their time. One beater on defense, one beater on the snitch.
Beater pair for Iowa is currently number 29, Rowan, and number 13, Bree Benet. It looks like right now, Iowa's pretty confident that number 29 can lock it down on a snitch play, and then Bree is focusing on quaffle play. And there's that beat. Bree coming in to support.
Good block though by number 22. They're able to retain their bludger. They beat the Iowa Seeker.
All three bludgers in the snitch game now, so Iowa has an opportunity here if they could connect a pass.
It is too long though. Number 96 not able to reach it before it goes soaring.
Good job by Jacob Lynn there to recover the bludgers for Dark Snare. But Ron's going to chase that bludger down, and Jacob Lynn somehow able to tag up and get that bludger.
That was some great hustle by Lynn there. Now Dark Snare with both beaters on the Seeker. What's surprising to me is that Iowa's keeper, Szymanski, is not running it in. When all three bludgers are on the snitch, Szymanski's the biggest guy on the field. I don't understand why you don't run that in.
Oh, and a tackle causes that play to go low, but I'm wondering if we're going to see a back contact call for Iowa on that.
Yeah, they're getting physical, but unfortunately the wrong kind of physical.
Oh.
That's Flynn who's going to the box.
There we go.
So it looks like Shetty will get a another chance at this play.
Oh, he's right in front of the keeper.
I got inside, you got outside. You over here.
Good patience, didn't just shoot it.
And there it is.
All right, and now Szymanski wants to go on a run. One player to beat.
Wow.
Puts it through, coast to coast.
We got a new Seeker in for Dark Snare. That is number 32, Kirsten Edwards.
And Dark Snare just camping those two beaters on the snitch. They really want this. And just like that, Lynn gets beat. And it looks like Dark Snare has found that driving stroke as Shetty scores another one.
Iowa Seeker going for it again.
And all three bludgers on the ground there for a moment. People are unable to keep bludger control for any given amount of time one way or another.
Number 32 inches away from grabbing that.
A very polite handback of the broom to number 32.
And it looks like we have a player down for Iowa. We'll see if they're okay. Our score 80-60 with Dark Snare in the lead, and I'm wondering if we're going to see more of what we've just seen, a lot of long drives coast to coast trying to just, hero ball score on that fast break. We saw it from Shetty twice and once from Szymanski on the other side of the ball, and it's almost like he heard me from over here. Hey, you should run it in. You're the biggest guy on the field. Both teams getting a decent amount of time with the snitch. As much as Dark Snare had their beaters camped on the snitch, it looked like Iowa was able to get, just flashes. Just getting in there just for a second or two. They're getting good looks. They're getting close, but it's not landing yet.
Snitch is doing a good job. The Iowa player that was down earlier, that was number 96, Ellie Wicklin. It looks like they're able to get up now. Looks like there might have been a collision with number 77. They were able to shake hands. Sometimes things happen in Quidditch. Unintentional contact, mistakes that weren't meant to be made. Love to see the sportsmanship from these two teams.
Wicklin walks off under their own power, and Flynn will come in as the sub. So the referees continuing the conference a little bit, seeing if there was any sort of illegal contact, anything like that. It looks like we're just waiting around for Jeanette High to come out of conference.
And an unlucky sort of events for Iowa, not just this tournament, but just for the season, just injury. As you continue to play more games, it's a little harder to kind of keep playing as hard as you possibly can, and Iowa's definitely doing their best.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was with the shorter roster. I think I count 11 here. Like, that's tough. That is tough to come into regionals with a short roster when you don't even have 2 full lines. Everyone's playing a lot of minutes. You're playing a lot of different positions potentially, especially after an entire day of play yesterday, going against the schedule that they played against. I mean, geez, it was probably tiring to play against Creighton, but this closer score against Ball State and Illinois, those were probably tough physical games, especially Ball State, kind of a physical team. And so that wears on you as a player, especially if you're younger, especially if you're inexperienced, maybe not in as good enough shape. Not to say that any of these Iowa players aren't. They've been giving it quite their all during this game. Not that Dark Snare had a cupcake run either. I mean, Blue Jay, from what I saw them yesterday, was incredibly physical. Michigan always physical. And, I mean, Penn State and Michigan State, no pushovers either. So both these teams probably a little battered and bruised after all of yesterday. But you know what? I commend both of them for coming in and playing teams at their levels. We see this score is incredibly close. They are working hard. And this is the type of experience that keeps your team competitive and keeps it in the sport. If you're unwilling to come out and push through the pain, grit your teeth, and try and make it work to get these close games, if you're willing to do that, then your team is going to succeed in the long run.
Something to be said about Dark Snare, just to reiterate what Mary was sharing earlier, this is a joint team. It's a combination of folks from RIT in Rochester and Syracuse's program, both in New York.
With the expanded joint team program this year, after such a time off with COVID, USQ relaxed the joint team requirements so that more teams could take advantage of it, so that the programs could continue going. RIT and Syracuse both having programs for quite a long time, as far back as I can remember since I've been playing. So these perennial programs, we want to see them continue on, and it's good that they're able to even come together as a joint team. Ideally, this grows both teams if they're able to bring this energy and the success back to their schools and say, hey, look, we've got a team that's out here that's competing. It doesn't necessarily need to be about wins. It just needs to be about being active, being competitive. You create a team culture, and then you can come back and people who are maybe on the fence at your university and say, hey, look at this. Look what we've been able to accomplish. This is fun. This is good what we're having. We're building something here. We're growing something. And then ideally, you grow out of that joint team and come back into a program that can be self-sustaining. So it's good on USQ in that regard that this allowance was able to happen. And as we sit here, they are having a long conference with the tournament director and the head referee. I think there's some concern from Dark Snare about something, but it looks like both teams are just kind of congregating on one side of the field, just having a chit-chat. There's smiles, they're joking around. I think they know that this is a pretty close one.
I could be assuming too much, Dwyer, but here's one of my thoughts. I'm wondering, want to continue this game, they being Iowa, maybe they've reached a point where they just do not have enough players and injuries to sustain competitively continue this game. That's just one thought that I have. Another thought that I have, these teams don't go here. It just struck me that we have a combination of Northeast teams and a Midwest team that probably wouldn't see each other unless it came to nationals. So that's something that's been really cool about this tournament for me, is just teams that wouldn't normally see each other get to play. That's really cool.
That's awesome because, you're very right. These teams are separated by several hundred miles, and they probably wouldn't see each other outside of a national championship of some sort. So it breeds closeness, it breeds competition, but you get used to each other's play styles. And then often what happens is teams that go to nationals, you'll meet a team out of the West or the Southwest, and you're like, whoa, you guys are doing something completely different. We didn't even know about this. and it looks like they've come out of conference. And
We might get a word from Jeanette High on what is going to happen moving forward.
Due to lack of player safety concerns, Iowa is forfeiting. The final score will be 75-0.
all right, and it looks like Iowa, due to injuries, as Scott astutely predicted, has decided to forfeit the game. So a bit of an anticlimactic end for Dark Snare. They were in the lead, and so that score, because of the forfeit, I believe, goes to 75-0 in the official book.
It does.
And you know what? If I'm Iowa, I'm not beating myself up about this call. There's a lot more Quidditch to be played this season. Live to fight another day. Take care of your player serve. Get home safe. Dark Snare played a great game. Moving forward, we talked about these teams probably wouldn't see each other outside of a national competition. Wouldn't you know it, there is going to be one. Next year, April 2022, we hope to see a lot of these same faces in Salt Lake City, Utah for nationals. These two teams today did not fight for an automatic bid for nationals, but might have a chance at an at-large bid later on in the season to come to Salt Lake City, Utah for nationals. As the tournament continues, we are going to be fighting for 6 bids amongst college teams to get an automatic to nationals.
I'm definitely excited to see the rest of that. But you at home, you, the viewer, the listener, you should keep it locked here on USQ's streaming channel so that you can see all the action as we progress through today to determine the Great Lakes Regional Champion.
We will be back soon. Up next is going to be Penn State versus Bowling Green. We have not gotten to see Penn State. I think actually either of these teams on the stream yet, at least Penn State. So looking forward to seeing that matchup. We will be back.